Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, I have a couple of Mothman and winged cryptid stories to talk about today. The first story is an encounter with the Mothman. So let me read the article. Title, let's read it now and hear exactly what the witness experienced. Mothman encounter. San Antonio witness describes her 1990s childhood experience. As a child in the mid-1990s, Val peered through a fence at her grandmother's home and came face to face with a towering winged humanoid that left her frozen in terror. Decades later, she still wonders if the creature with talon-like claws and butterfly-sized wings was a figment of a childhood imagination or chilling evidence that the Mothman roams far beyond its famous haunts. Hi, Lon. I heard a story from my cousin Val while visiting her. Val mentioned that she has never talked about this experience with friends because she has never fully understood what she saw. After reading about witness accounts of the Mothman, she started to believe that what she encountered many years ago might have been the Mothman. Val can't remember the exact year, only that it was in the mid-1990s when she was about 7 or 8 years old. Now she's 34. One afternoon, Val was at her grandmother's house near San Antonio, Texas, where a lot of friends and family had gathered for her aunt's baby shower. While the adults were busy inside, the kids were outside playing. One of the local kids Val was playing with kept talking about a monster that supposedly lived next door. Although he didn't go into much detail, Val was intrigued. She decided to take a look and peered through a hole in the fence, hoping to catch a glimpse of something. This hole was located behind a shed in the lower part of the yard, so the other kids didn't notice it. About 15 minutes later, Val sensed a large shadow passing over her and heard a swooshing sound as a massive creature landed on the other side of the fence. As it landed, it moved away from the wall and Val lost sight of it. Was this really the Mothman, folks? It does certainly sort of sound like it. It was day, though, so obviously we have to ask, why did no one else see this thing? It was passing over the fence into the yard. You would think the other kids would have seen it as well. So does that mean that this entity was perhaps invisible to the eye and only basically uncloaked after it had landed? That is something that just really makes me want to think that there's a possibility that there's a link between Mothman and the Glimmerman. Does Mothman have the ability to go partially invisible or even fully, perhaps? But we can talk about that after we finish off this particular story, folks. Val described the creature as standing on two legs covered in short, light brown fur. It had very long nails, similar to talons. While she couldn't see its face, she noted that it was tall, with massive butterfly-like wings, a muscular human body, and stout legs. She remembered it made a swishing sound as it breathed. At first, she felt paralyzed, but eventually regained her ability to move. She quickly ran inside and stared out the window in horror. Val has never understood what she saw, but she doesn't deny the possibility that it could have been a Mothman. That thought of it still frightens her to this day. Val firmly believes that whatever she witnessed was real, and I tend to agree with her. It sounds like she saw a Mothman D. Yeah. Now, in most Mothman accounts, folks, they describe Mothman as looking more bird-like, but there have been a few accounts of more insectoid ones, like the Chicago Mothman encounters as well. So, we can talk about this a little more after the next article we're about to go through, folks, titled Flying Humanoids Through Time. From ancient myths to contemporary eyewitness accounts, let's get into how people have seen creatures flying in the sky and can't explain exactly what they are. From Mothman to other flying cryptids, like perhaps the Jersey Devil, let's continue and have an interesting time. For centuries, witnesses worldwide have described encounters with winged human-like beings that defy explanation, yet their stories share uncanny similarities. Could the strange figure seen rising from the misty Sikh-Hot Mountains in 1908 and the glowing winged woman encountered by U.S. Marines in Vietnam be evidence of an enduring hidden presence that has shattered humanity for millennia? The flying humanoid phenomena has been reported for millennia, dating back to tales of ancient gods. Writings by Charles Fort, John Keel, and contemporary cryptozoologists suggest that these sightings may be more than mere myths and folklore. Russian writer V.K. Arseniev reported an experience on July 11, 1908 in the Sikh-Hot Mountains near Vladivostok, Russia. Indeed, folks, this, along with other encounters about flying humanoids, is what we're here today to learn about. So, let's continue and hear exactly what was seen flying over the Sikhote Mountains in Vladivostok, Russia. The rain had stopped. The air temperature remained low, and mist appeared over the water. It was then that I saw a mark on the path that resembled a man's footprint. My dog, Alpha, bristled and snarled, and then something rushed nearby, trampling through the bushes. It didn't leave, but instead stood stock still nearby. We remained like that for several minutes. I then stooped, picked up a stone, and threw it toward the unknown animal. Unexpectedly, I heard the beating of wings. Something large and dark emerged from the fog and flew over the river. Moments later, it disappeared into the dense mist. My dog, clearly frightened, pressed itself against my feet, because, well, that's all the poor animal could probably do, folks. Undoubtedly, this man had no idea what he saw, but probably truly frightened him, probably as much as the dog at his feet, with absolutely no idea at all exactly what he had just seen. But let's continue with this story, folks. After dinner, I recounted the incident to the Utihi men. They launched into vivid stories about a man who could fly. Hunters often claimed to see his tracks, which appeared and vanished suddenly, as if the man had landed on the ground and then taken off again into the air. Fort Charles, the books of Charles Fort, New York, Henry Holt and Company, 1941. That was honestly a fairly scary story, folks, but we have more to read through, so listen closely. While stationed near Da Nang in August 1969, PFC Earl Morrison of the 1st Marine Division and 2 other guards experienced something extraordinary. Just after 1 a.m., they were sitting atop a bunker and talking when they noticed something approaching them in the sky. We saw what looked like wings, similar to those of a bat, but gigantic compared to a regular bat. As it drew closer, we saw that it resembled a woman, a naked woman. Her skin was black, her body was black, and her wings were black. Everything was black. Yet she glowed, emanating a greenish light in the night. She flew directly above us, silent at a height of about 6 or 7 feet. When she passed over us, she blotted out the moon, making it pitch black, but we could still make out her shape because she radiated a bright glow. As she moved about 10 feet away from us, we began to hear the sound of her wings flapping, which was similar to the sound of regular wings. She continued flying away, and we watched her for quite a while. The covering on her skin resembled fur more than feathers, and the skin of her wings appeared to be molded onto her hands. The movement of her arms suggested they had no bones. Worley Dawn, the Winged Lady in Black, Flying Saucer Review, Case Histories, June 1972, 14 through 16.72, 1416. There's also a note, folks, so let's read that now. Even before the vast number of sightings in the Chicagoland region, eyewitnesses from Russia to Vietnam reported winged humanoids, mysterious beings seen for centuries that blur the line between myth and reality. Indeed, folks, is it possible that that woman we just read about with the black fur and wings was some type of Mothman as well? Maybe, but it's also a little different from the classic Mothman stories. And what about that man in Russia who apparently had the power to fly? Remember, people have seen flying humanoids for thousands of years, from angels to literal men flying around like Superman. They've been witnessed. But is there any merit to this? Well, to these stories, folks? I mean, some of them have even mentioned that these beings had been seen with apparatuses, machines attached to their bodies that allowed them to fly. So, maybe in some cases, these are actual time travelers that have been seen, folks. And they can even range from basically being, well, small-bodied beings like great aliens, to dwarves, to these tall beings that have been seen in Joplin, Missouri, that have been described as basically like, well, giant angels. So all of it very interesting, folks. And that account as well, folks, in the Joplin, well, fairy encounters, they also saw these little winged beings that look like classic fairies from basically, well, children's stories. So make of that what you will, folks. Were they angels? We don't know, but certainly the bigger ones did resemble those. But what about all these entities, folks? They're very interesting, but we're at the end. So please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions or the chat to go subscribe me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure to hit the part of the bell. That'll give you all future notifications, and please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.